Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cove Club. I am surprisingly still the host, even though I announced my retirement, because we're still looking for someone to take over. But, you know, we're gonna make do what it do. I am SB, as my new assistant likes to call me, and today's guest for Cove Club is probably one of the many different VAs of the current era that has actually been the inspiration behind why I came back in the first place to the game. You may have known him from various different video games and different animations and whatnot, but if you ask our mutual friend Yenny, we just mutually know him as one of the most sweetest, but probably one of the most deadly VAs that you'll ever know. It is Devante Johnson.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Good, good. Really happy to be here.
Honestly, this is a pleasure because this is some behind the scenes notes for y'all. I've been trying to hang out with Devante since the moment I found out this man exists. And then everyone's just like, you can't have two brown skinned people that are voice actors in the same room. Imagine how ghetto that will be. And I'm like, listen,
Oh God.
don't try to besmirch what's going on here. Uh, but enough about stuff that I could state about you. I'm going to allow you the pleasure of going over yourself, your big roles, and so forth and so on in the industry, good sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, hi, Devante Johnson. That's my name. I've been a voice actor for about since around 2016. That's when I really started kind of getting my traction with it and it's like hitting the ground running really, really like as fast as I could. And I've done a few things in that time. I Nitro from Lethal League Blaze. Uh, I forget his name. Slink, yes, from Dunk Lords. Recently, I just voiced Tom in the puppet combo game Murder House, and so on and so forth. I made appearances in in different animes and other video games just across, and it's been a wild ride. Definitely before I started doing that, I did theater acting. I did that, and that was something. That's kind of like where my love for acting really like took off. And aside from voice acting and just acting in general, I do a lot of stunt work and martial arts work, and it definitely keeps one kind of active a lot of the time. But I'm living the dream. I'm blessed to be able to do all of those things.
Man, even when you go over your resume, you sound cool. God dang.
You're crazy, man.
But I digress. I could be going on and on about how amazing Devante is as a person, but we got to get straight into the interview. So
Yeah, do it. Do it,
let's
man.
dive in with the first couple of questions I got here, thanks to my
Yeah, man.
editor. I love you, Anonymous, but I'm pretty sure your wife loves you a lot more than I ever will. First question on the docket that I see here.
Mhm.
What was the role that made you die of laughter while you were recording?
So there is a series on YouTube. It's known as Second Gear Squad. It's run by Otaku D Furiku, very good friend of mine, and he does like various animations and like his own like dubs and comedic dubs of various media. And I got to be a voice for an antagonist in one of his works. High School of the Dead abridged, and it was I voiced Riser, the main antagonist of the show, and just he was so funny. Like Otaku just has a very distinct style of humor, and his world and his other voice actors, like how like they all play off of each other, and the personality that he injects into these characters, it's so hilarious. I remember recording for that and for several other things of his, and it was very difficult for me to get through almost any line without just busting out laughing either in the middle of it or at the end. And it was like, this is like, to this day I still remember how hard, like how much my stomach was in pain from how much I kept laughing during various takes, especially because he allows ad-libbing. And it's like it was, yeah, that was definitely like the funniest like voice recording sessions I've ever had, like to this day.
As soon as you said High School of the Dead, I was like, I already know I'm gonna be laughing without even seeing the material.
Yes, yes. It's glorious. It's glorious. The show itself is already really funny, but like his abridged version, it's comedy gold. I was dying the entire time.
Gotta love it when the material's comedy gold.
You gotta love it, man. Nothing like it. You have so much fun. So much fun.
Oh yeah. This one is a brand new one because my editor Anonymous was trying to binge watch a show that you were cameoed in. How would you describe the feeling you had when you were visibly shown on Cobra Kai for Netflix?
That is a that was that I forgot to mention that too. I do a lot of background extra work. That was insane to me because I love Cobra Kai. It is one of my favorite shows out right now. I remember when season 1 came out on YouTube Red before it even made the jump to Netflix, and I was just like, this show is going to be awful. It's just I sense it's going to be bad because it has like that. It's almost set up to be, like this pseudo sequel to a property that came out very long ago, and like no one was really asking for it, and you kind of worried when that happened. But I remember episode 1, season 1, I was hooked. I was like, this show is incredible. And so when I got booked to be able to perform, or not perform, but make an appearance background wise on the show, I was like, this is insane. This is so cool. I was freaking out. I was literally like tap dancing in my room after I saw that, after I got the confirmation. But the thing about background work is that it's background. You don't really see background. I mean, you see them obviously, but they're just blurps in the black background, or just set dressing. They're just there to kind of like emphasize the scene or the setting of for the main characters and the main plot line. So it's not uncommon for you to be a background worker and your stuff kind of gets cut. But the thing about that scene, it was the church scene, I believe. I don't remember the camera even being there. I really don't. I don't remember where the camera was. We were just told to respond to what was happening, and we did. And when I was watching the scene, I was so prepared to see, like, kind of like really squint my eyes and look hard. And when it was such a visibly clear scene, multiple shots, I was like, this is insane. And even after that, a lot of friends were like, are you on Cobra Kai? And I was just like, I was getting like text messages and like DMs, and I was like, yeah, I guess so. I'm just as surprised as you are that it happened, but it was so cool. I remember watching that scene like 100 times, just like, I cannot believe I got to be on this show, man. And the guy Billy Zapka, Johnny Lawrence, beforehand he was like talking to all of us, like he was just going around just having conversation. He was the sweetest guy. You can't tell that from his character, but he's just the sweetest guy in the world. So nice. I was like, that was like the best day ever. And to this day, that's still one of my like the most pleasant film sets I've gotten to do.
Man, every time I hear that from a fellow background actor, I'm just like, I'm so jealous because you get to have these nice sets. I had to fly out to New York to be in Law and Order SVU and Criminal Intent with some of the most rigid and sometimes just cruel actors.
Oh no, that's infuriating. That's frustrating. Cause like, really, they were that bad? They were that bad?
Ice-T was one of the worst.
No, not Ice-T. I can believe that though, but dang. That's insane to me. Like, what was he doing? Like what were they doing? Like, make themselves so unpleasant?
It was, I forget the episode where it was because I had long hair back in those days, but
yeah.
I remember they were just like, just act like you're someone on the street in New York. Like, you see that hot dog vendor, it's someone that's for, of course, the wrap up for the shoot. Just go get a hot dog if you want. He was like $5. I'm like, $5? Mm-hmm. That's half a dog in New York, bruh. All right, fine. Here's 10. I then get the dog. They're just trying to shoot the scene, I believe, like 16 times, trying to talk about somebody that had, I think it was like either sex slavery or something. And then Ice-T was late to the set during, I think, take number 7, being on the phone, just kind of berating somebody about something, and then just yelling at one of the extras.
Oh no.
And then we're just like, okay, we gotta redo the scene again. And I'm like, bro, I can't keep eating hot dogs.
I've just eaten so many. I can't keep doing this. Make it stop. That sounds so unpleasant. Like even to this day, like I've been on like sets where like this isn't a fun shoot. In fact, I'm kind of miserable doing this, but it was never because of like the actors. It was always just the conditions of what we were doing that I was like, this is awful. It is like 3 a.m. Why can't I go home? It's so cold outside, and none of us we're all like in holding in this tent that protects you from the cold, not even a little bit. And it's like, but it was never the actors though. That's wild to me though. But I totally believe it. I totally buy it.
Yeah, but maybe since he's a dad now, he's calmed down. I don't know. Like, I doubt you watching these episodes slash listening to these podcasts. Ice T, you probably don't remember me, but it's fine.
What if he is watching? He's like, I remember you exactly. I vividly remember
I
you. Like,
vividly remember all the extras that was on SVU.
Oh man.
But enough bashing on Ice T for
Right.
now. Third question is always a fun question I've loved asking people since episode 2. Walk us through a day in the life of being Devante Johnson, like away from the creative or anything, just you the man, you the person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So typical day, I wake up depending on when I was able to get to sleep, usually as early as I usually can. But usually 9 times out of 10, I wake up around like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. or so. I'll cook breakfast, kind of fiddle around with my emails, see if I have any auditions, see if I have any lines to do, just make sure. Then I exercise after I get done with that for a little bit, just, go for a run. I might weight lift, just whatever. And after I'm done with that, I'll kind of, clean up and just kind of start the real meat and potatoes of the day, where I start, I do auditions, I or any that need to be done, do work lines, look for stuff, look for clients, email people, cold calls, the usual. Usually around the afternoon, that's when I'll make my way to downtown Atlanta, and I'll go to my MMA gym and just train there for a few hours, and just kind of that's kind of like after doing it for like well over 10 years now, it's kind of like got like I can kind of go into like a zen with it, and it's just like kind of like a nice little home away from home, where I can just kind of clear my head of anything that may or may not be bugging me at the time. After I'm done with that, I usually stop by and get a smoothie from the smoothie place that's right next door, and they always have this delicious like milkshake that I get. It's like super healthy. It tastes really good. And I usually enjoy that. Make my way home. If I need to get groceries, I'll get groceries there. Get home, cook dinner, unwind. After I do that, read, play video games. It's just whatever, just kind of whatever. And just usually, before I go to bed, like right before I go to bed, I like to meditate, because that's usually the only time in the day where it's like quiet enough around me, like outside, like inside, to just kind of meditate, kind of like clear my head, unstress as much as I can anyway that day, and hit the bed, go to bed, and then rinse and repeat the next morning. It's routine. I like to keep a routine going, because life is so chaotic sometimes. There's so much stuff that's like out of our control that we just can't maintain consistently all the time. So having a routine that I can at least somewhat stick close to as much as I can day to day kind of like helps keep me like centered. And I think it helps out a lot, just dealing with the seemingly chaotic nature that life can throw at you sometimes. And it's been working so far. I can't complain about it.
I relate to that, man, and frankly, every time I ask this question for people, I'm always just enamored and happy to just hear normal answers rather than just from my own personal circle, because a lot of people come up to me just like, a lot of people's days and how they live their lives aren't the most exciting, but I'm like, the little things matter the most, because
the little things.
If everything's extravagant, what's really gonna be fantastical? What's gonna be worthwhile in life,
Right.
man?
Right. That's exactly, you see it. You see it exactly.
But I digress, as I'm mentally taking notes, because me and my partner are gonna try and get a better routine rather than just wake up, I go to work, and she does her thing, and we kind of just feel miserable when it's nightfall.
I hate that feeling. I really do.
Curse you, failing economy.
Oh gosh, is it ever so failing? Ever failing and failing more and more somehow. I don't know how it got worse, but hey, you know.
I know, but before I end up getting in trouble for talking about finances. Next question here on the docket. There have been a lot of people I've done business with and talked with in the industry for both mainstream and independent about roles they would like to do, roles they wish existed, what they would want to strive to be. And for the most part, I've heard a lot of interesting stuff where even though it wasn't the person that brought it up, it did eventually happen. Like
Right.
an extra I worked with for, I think it was like either a TV movie or something. They wanted to do a role of an Asian superhero. Then fast forward to like a few years ago, we have Invincible finally on television, as well as Shang-Chi for the MCU having his film debut and so forth and so on. So,
Right.
my question to you, D, is this. What has been the ideal role that you would say is the definitive role you've always wanted and would be the role you're most proud of to say, that's the one I fought for and that's the one I want to be most remembered for?
Oh, that's a great freaking question, dude. That's a really good question. Because it's like I know that there's a lot of projects I want to work on, like series and franchises and things of that nature. But as far as like one particular character, I'm like Deland, but I already had the character in my head, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I've always wanted to voice John Stewart, Green Lantern. I adore that character. Ever since I started like booking like a lot more like a lot of like military-esque roles, like a lot of sergeants, commanders, soldiers. I was just like, okay, that's clearly a type. That's clearly something I get, and I love John Stewart, and that's his background. And I'm like, it to be able to, it's and he has like a really special connection, right? Because I read comics, yeah, as a kid, but like I mostly read Marvel stuff. Occasionally I read like a Superman comic or a Batman comic, but my first real introduction into DC, as far as like really getting into the meat and potatoes of them, was Justice League, the animated series back in the day. And in that series, right, it's not Hal Jordan on the Justice League. It's John Stewart, and so I essentially knew of John Stewart before I knew of Hal Jordan, and it was so cool seeing him because he was just a cool dude, just cool, kind of cool seeing like at the time it wasn't like unfounded. I was like just like Static Shock back in the day, so I was seeing black superheroes, but he was just so fascinating to me, and his powers were so cool, and that really meant a lot. And I just like to I really want to voice that one day. If we're talking, and this I know this wasn't part of your question, but an answer that I definitely have is that like as far as like any franchises that I would definitely want to be a part of, I don't care how, Kingdom Hearts and Invincible. I would give my right arm to be able to voice in some capacity on those properties because I love them so much. But yeah, definitely Green Lantern.
Honestly, D, if you do not end up as John Stewart at some point, I will one riot because that is a well-deserved role for you. Like it could be a young John Stewart joining the Green Lantern Corps for a brand new DCAU.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool.
But if that does not happen in my lifetime, I swear to God, I will march to Hollywood on foot, amassing an entire congregation of people saying we are going to boycott DC's section of Hollywood until my boy Devante is John Stewart.
Specifically DC's like specific. Well, you're just aiming for y'all, and everyone else is fine. It's just you.
It's like, oh, what about us, Warner Bros? You kind of own DC, so maybe y'all when you releasing them, but it's we gonna come back to y'all for like your Harry Potter stuff because we still mad about J.K. Rowling. But for right now.
That's second saga stuff. That's like the next arc. That's the next arc of the series that we have to deal with. That's a higher up arc. the next villain in the series.
Oh god. Somebody's gonna come back to this interview and be like, "Well, it never happened, sir." And you're like 70 years old. What you gonna do now? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to do it.
Caught you lacking. Caught you lacking. Look at you. Look at you.
God. Made my own self laugh. God dang. Next question. I'm
Yeah,
still
man.
laughing. God dang. But I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Next question I have here on the docket. Has there been any side of the industry where you personally didn't want to voice act in? And I'm stating this question because a couple people I know are just like, I don't really want to go into this branch of the industry where it's just stuff of narrations, or I don't want to do this with anime, I just want to do this, or I don't want to do not safe work because of insert reasons there. I've heard many different reasons, but I'm always just curious about like what is the line people draw in the sand of like I'm not crossing it.
Like, are you talking about like just I'm not doing this style of voice work or like what?
Like this style of voice work for like your own reasons that you're free to state if you want to. If you don't want to state it, that's fine. I understand. Like that's your prerogative. It's just a question.
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. I guess what a lot of stuff as someone who's kind of done, I don't want to say every realm of voice work, but I've done anime, I've done audiobook narrations, I've done commercials, video games, the whole nine yards, educational vids, and more personal independent work, and more bigger like professional studio stuff. I've seen a lot of elements, and honestly, the only one that I kind of really shy away from like doing is, I don't want to say shy away because I literally just did like two like a couple of weeks ago. Audiobooks take a lot out of a voice talent. Audiobooks are very, very stamina draining. They require a lot of stamina, and they're it's very particular type of voice work, because most sessions you like, especially like professional like ones for like bigger projects, you're going to be in the studio for you may be in the studio for an hour, you may be there for 10 minutes, you may be there for 4 hours or 6 hours. That's not uncommon. But with audiobooks, it's just you're just reading for like 6 hours straight, and that's not difficult by any means, but it does require you have to maintain your energy. There's also characters in the book that you have to make sure you're matching the voices for them, or like you make sure you're giving them all distinct voices so the listener can understand who's who, what's what. Sometimes it may demand you do accents that you may not be good at. It may demand you do accents that don't even exist. And it's like, okay, I gotta just kind of work with that, and it's very tricky. It's a lot more tricky than a lot of people give it credit for. And I know a few talents that are just like, I don't like doing them. I don't like doing them at all. But yeah, as far as like just style of work, that's the one I'm like the least excited to ever engage. And I'll do it obviously, but I like I like the more creatively fulfilling stuff, like like character work. I love character work. I will do characters work till I'm blue in the face. But yeah, for that's for the most part that. And while I can't speak for any other talent that may look or sound like me, I know I tend to get reached out for a lot of audiobooks that may, how do I say this without sounding too blunt? I get a lot of like reach outs for like, hey, you're Black, do this story because it's a Black story. And it's like full of like a lot of like, I like the more like respectable stuff where it's like it's depicting a lot of like it's depicting Black people as like people, but it's when like start getting reached out for a lot of like stereotypical or offensive stuff as far as their depictions of Black people. And it's just like, I don't think I want to affiliate with that. I don't feel comfortable, but that's really aside from that, it's just, yeah, everything's fair game. I've fair game, not suitable for work stuff. I know a lot of actors don't like to do that, and that's fine. You're more than welcome to, but I've done that too. It's yeah, really that's the only one where it's like I'm a little more apprehensive sometimes, and for several reasons, you know.
I understand, my man. I do. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But I just figured I'd ask because not a lot of people want to open up on a lot of topics, and that's one of them where everybody I know, and I mean everybody, wants to act like, oh, you'll understand if you walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, I would
Hmm.
love to, but how can I walk in it if you don't allow me to understand?
Right.
Like, we're all in this rat race together. We may not eat at the same table, but if we're not understanding the same cause, how are we gonna understand how to get to that next level?
No, I totally get it. It's honestly, the thing about voiceover is specifically the scene and its community is that we're always sort of like we're always feel like we're under a microscope for potential clientele or people who might want to hire us, and because of that we tend to kind of and even possibly from our own peers, so because of that we sort of like try like to like filter ourselves heavily so as not to alienate the wrong people. And unfortunately a side effect of that is that because voiceover is just it's a profession that has a lot of ups and a ton of downs, from discouragement for not getting a role, maybe just the nature of I keep auditioning. I've sent like hundreds of auditions and haven't heard anything back from anyone yet. Just the nature of like how isolating it can be to just kind of sit by yourself in a room, or if you have it live direct session with the engineer in another room and just kind of talk to yourself. It's the more quirky aspects of it that we sort of kind of like almost want to drown it out and don't want to like acknowledge it too much for fear that someone might see that and kind of think lower of us as talent, and thus we feel like our names won't get circulated as well or get hired when we otherwise would have. And it's hurtful because it's like these are things in the voiceover scene, in any creative field for that matter, where it's like you want to be able to discuss this kind of stuff with your peers and amongst your fellow creatives, because because we all kind of experience it from time to time. And it's like if we're not kind of we all kind of know what this is like, why not help each other out in that sense. And a lot, and I'm blessed to know a lot of amazing voice talent that I'm able to have these discussions with. But I know from people from people telling me, and to some level of personal experience, that not everyone feels that way, and it's just heartbreaking. I hate to see it, it hurts, but that's kind of, I think that's why people are like very like tight-lipped with stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's sadly one of the things I still hate about this industry, but
It's rough.
I digress because apparently my editor wanted me to ask this serious topic ahead of time rather than just waiting. She's like, okay, let's rip the band-aid off right now. I'm like, okay, girl.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So this is a question I've been asking a lot of people because since the floodgates opened up about whether or not to do stuff this way or the other way, how to do stuff better in this camp or the other, I've asked various different VAs where they've told me if they want to keep this question in or not. Where, with how talks have been going ever since, well, roughly during the time the pandemic started, people wanted to do the talks about representation being better for getting people of a certain color or a certain sexuality or certain stuff in this bracket, in that bracket, firing other people that weren't this character to be someone that is this complexion to be this character, getting other sort of stuff as a giant hoopla, and causing other different stuff of trying to fight for what is representation that's done properly, what isn't done properly, when does it stop, when does it begin, and not a lot of people asking the exact parties about what that truly entails, to where I'm asking everyone in this discussion, from how it's been built up from roughly 2020 to also currently in a rough estimate, I'd say 3 years from now, where do you see these talks going because of how it's being talked about rather than what's really being done to fix it?
like where do I see diversity and representation? Where do I see it, based on like the climate of things now and how the discussion is being handled? Where do I see it going, or where do I think it's going to be in the next 3 years? Yeah.
But technically both, yeah.
Okay. Um, well, and admittedly, I'm not the best at wording my thoughts on this topic as well as I would like. There's always going to be a level of ignorance that's always going to surround me because I just don't always have all the keys and knowledge that I should to speak on completely on stuff like this, but I can just kind of say what I've observed and how I feel, like, generally speaking about it. So I apologize if I say anything that's like out of pocket because it's not meant to be, but it's but yeah, as far as it's been going, I do believe that there's a bunch of people who are very passionate about seeing diversity and representation. They want to see people that look like them being voiced or played by people that also look like them. They like knowing that they have a sort of, they can get a spot at the table just with along with everybody else. And I do feel like there is a lot of times when it comes to anything that people are passionate about, there's going to be those individuals that are going to, like, very much like be like, okay, I want to see this. I'm going to, like, advocate for it. I've been in, group chats and what's the word for it, groups on like social media that are very committed to ensuring that stuff like this can venture forward, and they have these really healthy avenues of doing it where there's a lot of talks and discussions and bringing stuff to light, and it's awesome. I love that. Unfortunately, an extreme side of that passion also means that some people might approach this in a much more aggressive or a much more harmful way that actually sets the steps back a little bit, and I feel like that while those people are very vocal, I do feel like it's for the most part been handled with a lot of care and respect. I feel like people are listening. I feel like we are starting to see even, like, going back to stuff like Invincible, the show, in that one, yeah, Mark Grayson, at least as far as I'm able to tell, was not Asian in the comic book. That was a new addition because Steven Yeun voiced him, and that's so because of that. His mother also had this, also now she's Asian, and like they're doing representation really really well. And seeing stuff like that is much more prevalent now than it was, like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I think that because it's being people are more open to it, and now the public perception and public is more aware of it and wants to see even more of it. I do feel like in the next 3 years it'll advance even further because it's already advanced so much farther. Now we haven't really like regressed. It's, again, there's always going to be stuff I'm not seeing. It's always going to be stuff I don't fully know going on. I'm not in the heads of, like, these producers or casting directors or people like of that nature. But just based on what I'm immediately seeing, both from people who want to advocate for it and are pushing for more of it, in a very impactful ways, and both from what I'm seeing how people are responding to it, I see it. I definitely see it being even better, and I like it. It's such a blessing to see.
That's what's up. Definitely what's up. Like, I love asking this question. Like, I know a lot of people hate it when I ask this question because I
Mhm.
feel a lot of people are scared that they're gonna not sound the best about this topic, and I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm also of the mindset of, if we are fighting for change, why are we not talking like fully about it?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. It's not the most comfortable conversation in the world, but it's one that definitely needs to be had. Absolutely needs to be had.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know in anime I'm seeing a huge change, not change, but I'm seeing a big, dynamic shift in anime with a lot of their voice talent, like Neres Quinones, Zeno Robinson, people like them. Uh, it's like you see change happening, and it's happening because people are opening their mouths about it. And so in order to make sure it happens, you need to keep opening your mouth about it. You need to keep going those right avenues. So yeah, it's not something that should, people should be like, again, there's always that fear, like you said, that you're maybe not going to come off the way you want to come off, or you might say something ignorant. But I mean, hey, as long as you're talking about it, man. As long as you're talking about it and open to learning and open to doing more, I don't see why one should keep so tight-lipped on it.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But as much as I would love to keep going down this topic, I might do like a round table with a whole vast variety of different creatives across the spectrum that are minorities of the field to talk about this at some point.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just gonna hop into this next thing before a bunch of people gonna be like, "We gonna cancel you, SB." Jokes on y'all. I already got canceled a year ago.
Oh God.
uh, Next question.
Yeah.
Now this is something of a brand new one because Anonymous was not expecting me to hold these intermediate interviews before we get the new host.
Right.
Her big question that I'm obligated to ask is, what is a project that you're looking forward to voice this year, but what is something that you're more proud of from last year that you wish went on more to then be into this year? I have no idea how she wrote it like that, but now I'm confused.
I am a bit puzzled a little bit by the question, because it sounds like you're asking, what I am able to pick up is that you're asking what projects am I looking forward to working on, like in the future, and what projects am I like the most proudest of from last year. Is that the gist?
I think that's what she wrote. I'm sorry, baby. You gotta get this question fixed up for the new host. I'm just saying.
Well, to answer it, kind of like with, as much as best as I can. Um, as far as like projects I'm looking forward to voicing in, unfortunately, I can't really say many of them or any of them at all because of
NDA,
NDAs.
yeah.
Yeah, NDAs. But I am actually looking forward to a few things. I'm really excited. I can't wait to talk about them when they do come out. I know I just spoke down about it recently, but I recently just did an audiobook that I absolutely loved. It was so good. It was such a good story. It was so engaging. I love the characters. I love the world, and I remember I was like, just I loved it, and I was like, I can't wait to hear how it like how it like I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to and be able to publicly say I was a part of it, and because it was a banging story. As far as last year, actually, the biggest thing I was proud about, and it's not even like I didn't have like a main role or anything like that, but the biggest thing I was proudest of is the various anime that I got to make a brief appearance in, specifically Kageki Shoujo, that came out on, I think, Sound Cadence. They did the work for that one, the dub for that one, and I got to actually voice of character in a pretty big scene, and it was I'm just so proud of that because I have always loved anime. I grew up on it, like a lot of kids in America. Toonami was kind of like my gateway into it. As a kid, I didn't have like a car or money, so like I couldn't go to like DVD stores and buy anime, and so I would just watch it. Then I got hooked on it then, and to be able to go on and then be able to like be surrounded by people who also who also voice in anime. It's like that's so cool. I have nothing but love and respect for them. So, and then when I finally got the chance to be able to voice in a few, however briefly, myself, it was I was lit up the entire time. It was the whole process, the dubbing process, just the being a part of it, the directors. It was just like, this is so cool. This is awesome. It's even funnier because no, like a lot of my more casual friends that aren't affiliated with like my voiceover people, they don't believe me at first when I say it, and it's like I don't know why. Like that's such an easy thing to get caught on lying about that I don't know why I would lie about it. But then when they actually tune in and they can hear me, they're just like, oh wow, and it's just like, yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I love being able to do that, yeah, I just love it, man. Hope to keep doing it until my hair turns gray. But yeah, that's definitely what I was the most proudest of last year.
All right. All right. And again, Anonymous, I know you're going to be editing this. Don't be mean to me about stating you got to word this question better. It's just, if I'm going to be reading this and I'm confused, how's the new host going to feel?
If I'm confused, certainly the next one will be.
Uh, but I'm going to put a pause on the questions on my end because I'm checking the time and it is time for me to flip the tables because if you guys do not know, for Cove Club, since I've been doing journalism ever since I was roughly in my early teens, no one's ever really felt like they had a voice to stand on because some people have questions for the host because of their own background. Other people have questions in interview segments where they want to really get in depth with who they're sitting with. And I want to host a show and then teach the next host of the show that everyone has a question or a list of questions that need to be answered. And so with the table flip segment, Devante here is now able to, with the metaphorical golden mic, ask me however many questions he wants to before he can flip the tables back. It could be one question, it could be 5, it could be 10. It's up to him. So, let us begin with the table flip.
Okay. So, what made you start wanting to do all this? Like what was your inspiration? What was your spark that just made you go, okay, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be involved with creatively.
For like the studio itself, voice acting, what?
All of it.
Oh, all of it. Well, it mostly kind of stemmed when, well, a lot of stuff negatively in my childhood to where when people ask me so very passionately, like, your parents be so proud, how do you think they feel? It's like, I'm an orphan. So that's just a lovely topic, but from there, when I made my first ever original character that became the stepping stone for one of the shows we released in 2019 when I was around roughly 5, like I made an entire in-depth backstory as well as just making her go from being a Marvel-based OC to being her own original character when I was roughly 6 to then, as soon as I was around roughly 13, my girlfriend at the time, she had connections with the guy that was my first ever agent to have me do some stuff left and right to basically have me see some stuff that I didn't get to see when I was younger from when I was 5 and when I did my first commercial when I was 9. That the industry in and of itself can be a very opening thing when you put away the rat races and all the people saying that they're going to go for this role I'm going to go for, so they're going to go for my neck. If I just eliminate all those things and just look at all of the stuff I could do, I could be more at peace with that than I ever would have been if I were just sitting in a room letting all of my own darker emotions just talk to me and just beat down on me to
Right.
where when I got older and then all of my kids were fully grown and doing all this, that, and the third thing where it's just like, Dad, you adopted us when you were in your teens and you have dreams. Why don't you want to do anything that you really want to do? So when I was sitting down thinking about that for my eldest, when I was doing some stuff to then look at the current climate of voice acting at the time, roughly in, I would say, 2015, 2016, a lot of people were just sitting about trying to act like they're going to be the next big person and they're going to tear down whoever they need to get it. They already have this inclination because they're in film school, so they don't need to rely on having actual friends, just colleagues and acquaintances. And seeing all that rubs me the wrong way, because art isn't something where it's war for war's sake. It's about trying to be the better you, but then also have a friendly rivalry where you get your flowers, but you still pull out a seat for the person next to you at the giant table.
Right.
So when that whole thing came into play, I was then just trying to do my own thing with acting, and then I was doing HR for a show I don't really like talking about anymore because of just so many things that went wrong, but I'm with my now best friends of literally 5 years now. And when we were talking about what to do for different VAs, and at the time I adopted my youngest, we're just trying to go over how so many people in the industry, whether they're starting out or whether they don't have a voice anymore, because so many people want to state, this idea is mine, that performance is mine. What about making something to where the underappreciated or the overlooked actually have a voice, where they aren't ignored, where they don't have to fight for that next role, or even if we're small and underappreciated ourselves, we still will provide a family for everybody.
Right.
So that's where this whole thing came into play, and then the interview show was just my own way of just reaching out to other VAs to be like, hey, my studio is small where we're not really getting the traction that we need, and I'm at peace with that. But if I can make a friend along the way each and every interview to make sure that you guys know that there is someone out there that's looking out for everyone else, even if the ascension is still a rigorous path, you guys also know that there is an ally out there where you guys don't have to have me trying to hold on to your coattails. It's me just holding up a giant banner saying, I believe in y'all. As the water's up to my ankles, I still believe in y'all. Climb, bitch, up these goddamn ladders. I'm just gonna stand here with this banner, yo. It's fine.
That's really dope, man. That's a really good answer, man.
I try my best, man.
You answered about 6 other questions I kind of had in that one. That was, but that's really good, man. You're using what power you have, to just boost people up, while also pursuing your own creative, ventures. That deserves respect right there. There's nothing but it, honestly, man. And I forget what you said. How long have you been doing all this for so long? And like all together.
All together, technically I've been doing this ever since I was 9, and I'm turning 29 this year actually. So I've been roughly doing this for like 20 years.
Going hard for 20 years, man. Dang, that's awesome. That's so cool. It's a serious, like. Even like with me, like as far as like creative stuff, I'm not relatively new, but to dedicate yourself to something from such a young age, and to still to this day be like still pursuing all these various creative ventures. Especially because it's a very taxing thing. People burn out on it pretty easily, and because it's kind of yields itself to it. But the fact that you're still going hard with it, I just think that's really dope. I just think that's really cool, really admirable.
I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Yeah. So, what about you? What do you do in your free time? Like when you do, just away from the creative stuff, away from your job, what you be doing in your free time, man?
Well, originally when COVID wasn't gonna be a thing, I was gonna actually do a lot more. I would say 5-hour jogs, cause. Living in B-more, there's not a lot to do anymore. It's just you either run with dope kids or you try to end up working for CBS. And I'm like, I'm gonna jog. But don't you want to work for CBS, homie? Do I want to work for CBS? No. Screw CBS. Do I look like a charity case?
Oh my God.
But, yeah, I normally like to take roughly, I would say, 5-hour jogs from where I live to go uptown and then just kind of vibe out. I put on, like, some regular jams. It could be whatever. I have an eclectic taste. During that whole time, I would then just try to maybe browse around and look for what I could purchase when I get a supplementary paycheck of maybe a new book, maybe some new shirts, maybe a new game, whatever. I get home and I call up my partner, who sadly lives in the United Kingdom right now. We try to do what we can before she passes out, and then afterwards it's just me just hang out with some friends, and while I'm hanging out with friends, we then get to some rapping, just trying to do this, that, and third thing. I try to text my kids, just let them know, hey, dad's here, dad's alive. I know you
Right.
out there living your best life, but just know dad's still here. Dad still loves you. You could text back anytime now.
Mm-hmm.
And then roughly when it hits, I would say 11:30, I tend to wind down. I pop open my phone because the laptop behind me on a table has a broken internal fan. So
Ooh.
I get on like my typing phone, write up some notes for some next stuff. I then just maybe put on some Netflix. I'll rewatch something, maybe Record of Ragnarok, maybe Shaman King,
Mm.
um, maybe just I don't know, maybe Seven the movie because I love watching Seven. It's a weird movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie, weird but great.
Yeah, yeah.
And roughly by that time, it's like midnight. I pass out, and when I wake up, it's either just I do the routines I want to do, where it's I do some shadow boxing, maybe lift some weights that um, one of my one of my fellow occupants has in the living room. Maybe it's just me doing some business, or me just trying to make some new friends, just trying
Yeah.
to keep up a good head, or it's just me going to work, where it's me trying to make 8 hours work, just being a social worker, just all that kind of stuff on the low low.
I feel you. I feel you. That's correct. How many kids do you got, man?
This is gonna sound sad because a lot of
Okay.
people out there are gonna be like, you can't count these kind of kids for this situation, but
Okay.
I have three adopted daughters. My eldest I've known since I was 15, and my youngest is in college. But I also count in the kids that me and my first girlfriend lost, meaning I have six kids.
Ah, I see. I see. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fine. It's fine. It's just one of those things where people are like, you can't count kids that died. That's depressing. I'm like, I will count who I want to count because they were part of me.
They were still your kids. They were still your kids. That hasn't changed. You know. That's great. That's great. Well, not that, but I mean, that you.
I know what you meant, man. I know what you
Yeah,
meant.
yeah. It's good. It sounds like you really love them to death. So- And I mean, that's really all you can really ask for. It's really all you can do as a parent, right? Just love your kids, want the best for them, et
It's
cetera, et
true.
cetera. Well, I think that kind of like taps me out on questions, man. You done answered everything I was inquiring throughout all this. But the stuff that you didn't answer, inadvertently. But yeah.
Uh, well, I'm glad I was able to answer all your questions best I could, man.
No, you an interesting guy.
I keep hearing that from you, from Yanni, from Sarah, from Christian. I don't see what's so interesting.
Hey, if you don't see it, ain't nothing we can do to make you see it. But just know you are, man. You an interesting guy.
But let me get into these. Oh dang, we really okay, anonymous. You trying to do light work with these questions, honey? You feeling all right? All right now. Okay, next question. This is one of our fun questions we like to kind of ask people because relatively by this point we've asked a lot of hard-hitting questions.
Hmm.
What is your favorite meal to have and why?
Lasagna. Lasagna. I freaking love lasagna. I don't even care I don't even care what I'm eating it with. I could be eating it with Brussels sprouts and chitlins. I don't care. Lasagna. I love it. I will literally I will sell my soul for lasagna. Just one plate. I don't even need like a bunch of it. Just one. That's good. That's all. But yeah, lasagna. But if we're talking about just meal, like a full meal, like I and this is just a byproduct of just like me eating it so much that it's now developed a Stockholm syndrome effect on me. I brown rice, spinach, and chicken breast. I've eaten it so much, and I hated it because I would eat it like almost not every day, but darn near. And I grew to hate it. But then the hatred kind of did like a 360, and I started hating it so much that it kind of took up too much space in my head. And then I kept thinking about it, and that made me love it. So now I just adore it. And I'm just like, I don't know how I don't know how that happened, but that's a full meal as far as I'm concerned. I still eat like a lot too.
You had me dying from just like lasagna.
It's true. It has a hold on me.
Oh my! I swear to God. D, you and me, we gotta hang out sometime. I swear. Like when I fly out to the ATL, I will hit you up, my man.
Hit me up, man. Yeah, we'll kick it. Get some lasagna. Get some lasagna with me.
Just straight up eating lasagna. What you do in ATL? I went to see my big brother Casey, and I also was eating lasagna with D.
Ate like a bunch of it, like 10 pounds worth of it. It was crazy. He just wouldn't stop eating it. The waiters got concerned.
He was just going ham on the lasagna. Everybody was concerned. Me, I was joining him. Oh my God. All right. So this is now a question that we kind of asked a little bit around for people like Jun Yoon and other individuals like this, for people that we figured are actual big time veterans like yourselves and June and Look, I keep messing up her name and we're friends. Su Ling Chan.
Oh yeah. She's awesome. All of them are, actually.
I miss you, Sue, and I miss you, June. And I'm sorry I messed up your name, Sue. Please don't end our friendship. But the big question that I kind of wanted to ask was, and I think you kind of answered it a little bit, but what would be the quintessential role that you'd be like, okay, I voiced this now, I'm done. I'm ready to just hang up the mic.
Oh man, that's a dope question, because I really don't have an answer for you, because I know I said earlier in John Stewart's Green Lantern, but as far as like a role that like I voiced this, I don't need to do anything ever again. I honestly don't think there is such a character. I don't think there is any character that I could possibly voice that I'll feel like I'm done. Because if I do get like a character that I've been wanting to voice for a long time, like a super long time, and I finally get them, I'm just going to be like, but now I want to voice this guy or this person or this thing. And it's like, it's there will always be a bigger fish that I want to eat. There will always be a bigger bowl of lasagna for me to try and devour. So it's like, I'm always going to want to, keep doing stuff. But like, as far as like, if a gun to my head, aside from, John Stewart, like a character who's like, oh man, I would just be like, I could retire happy. Probably, let's see. Nope, I'm not gonna lie. I can't think of anybody. I really can't. I'm trying. Again, if we're talking about franchises or a series, that's a completely different thing. But actually, yeah, I do know. I would be over the moon if I could voice Galactus from Marvel. I would be overjoyed. That would be like, I'd be like, yeah, that is a literal giant I want to slay. It's like I've always loved that character. I've always loved his like vibe. He's like this omnipotent being who isn't really good or evil. He's just hungry. So he just goes around eating planets, and it's like he's indifferent to like the suffering of these planets. He's just hungry. And he's very powerful. People like beating him's like a huge feat. And I love the character. Every time I would see him in like a comic book or a TV show, I'd be like, like it'd be so cool to see him. So yeah, that'd probably be a character, Galactus.
Every time someone brings up Galactus in a conversation, I just think of that one skit a friend of mine did when they were trying to audition to be on The Walking Dead. They were just like, okay, imagine you're Galactus just at a coffee shop, okay? All right, we have order number 467. Order number 467. Right here. Back off, Thanos. That double macchiato is mine.
He's moving slowly, moving very slowly to the coffee shop, despite the fact that he's normal size. Just moving. He still moves slow.
This
like,
is
what?
my double macchiato. Oh, really? What if I were to clap my hands with the Infinity Gauntlet? What if I were to eat you? You know what? That's fine. All right, go ahead.
Such a random scenario.
Just threw it out of nowhere because he was like, I'm auditioning to be in The Walking Dead Season 3. I'm like, oh, alright, but why Galactus in a coffee shop?
They were just like, my methods may seem maddening to you, but just do it, mortal. Just do it. Trust me. We know what we're doing.
And that is why I will never get that out of my head. Galactus in a coffee shop.
It would stand out to me until time indefinite.
But honestly, if you were to beat Galactus in maybe in a Marvel video game, because I don't know if they're gonna do them in the movies anytime soon.
Yeah, I know there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out by Marvel, but I don't know if Galactus is they're gonna just pull him out right away. I think they just try to save him for a little bit later because he's like such a big villain. But definitely, I feel like anything could happen, but I definitely feel like a game would be more likely, like maybe like another Marvel versus Capcom or like some type of Ultimate Alliance type game, something like that.
Oh, Ultimate Alliance 4 would probably be the best fit for you, like merging continuities from 1, 2, and 3 into 4, like 3 different shattered dimensions plus the MCU and stuff like that.
That would be insane. That's 4-dimensional chess right there. Multiverse is popping right now. Everyone likes multiverse stuff. So
I'm just saying, Marvel, if you listen to this entire interview, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, I'm giving you a blueprint. Take it.
Kevin Feige listening is just like, and we merge them all into one. Got it. And that man gives you no credit whatsoever. Pretends like he never even saw the video. Just pretends.
It wouldn't be the first time. But next to last question I got here, and this is actually interesting because you brought up the Kingdom Hearts franchise earlier, which ties into this question. Mm-hmm. In your own opinion, like away from how people were to typecast you, if you were in a franchise for and she literally wrote JRPG in brackets.
Okay.
What classification character do you think you would be? Hero, villain, mentor, supporting role? What do you believe?
I don't think again, I'm not ruling myself out on any of these things because if you give me a script and you give me a character, I'll give it my shot, give it my best, and do what I can with any role. But like more likely, I see myself as more of like the I think I'd like be more likely cast as like a mentor type character. I actually am involved in in an indie JRPG someone's making, and I am literally just the principal of like the magical school. I'm literally the mentor. But if not that, definitely a more villainous role. I get a lot of villain work, and so I feel like a lot of JRPG villains, they're always very over dramatic. They vary from person to person. You have your Sephiroths, your Kefkas, stuff like that. But I feel like a more villainous presence is what I would be. Or if not that, you know how like in most JRPGs you have the main character. There's always like the will they won't they love interest-esque character.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And you're almost always bound to have a character that's just big and burly, like a very warrior type character with you, and I feel like that would also be probably a role I'd like the or a role I'd like to be a better fit for, just a slugger type character, like just a big burly warrior who may or may not be the best friends with the of the hero. It's like that's probably those three. I definitely don't see myself being like the main youthful spiky haired protagonist. But it's at least not like I don't see it, but everyone's ears are a little different when they hear voices. So who knows what I think may not be what a casting director thinks one day. So you can't really say it, stuff like that. But yeah, those are my 3 picks.
All right, I respect it. Personally, I would have put you down and be like one of the people that Sora would team up with in probably Shibuya and Kingdom Hearts 4, because we all know he's gonna wake up in Shibuya for some reason.
That's where they're hinting at going with that, or that's where they seem to be going with it. Yeah.
Just I don't know if they're doing the regular World Ends With You or Neo or like an after. Like, what are we doing, Nomura?
It's crazy because didn't he met Neku. He met Neku in Dream Drop Distance. So it's just interesting that they're actually tying back into that. At least I think the main character's name in The World Ends With You is Neku. I think that's his name.
In the first one, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Neku.
In the first one. Okay, yeah.
But what are we doing, Nomura?
He's doing his best. He's doing his best is what he's doing.
Everyone in the fandom just literally tilting their heads like, okay, but what are we doing here?
We is a wild ride. We will see we'll see what it looks like when we get to the destination. We don't know how we're getting there, why we're getting there, but we're gonna get there at some point. So let's just enjoy the ride as best as we can.
Let's just enjoy the ride, boys and girls, because we're all lost. But this is the last question, and honestly, I can't tell if this is wholesome or just very, very last-minute thinking. I'm ragging on my editor so hard, but she's usually known for a lot of top-tier work. I have no idea why this one is so all over the place.
Okay. They've been great questions. I've been loving.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. I'm just like, girl, are you okay? Did you have like a rough start of the year? Like, what's going on, baby? Final question on the docket that I'm seeing here. In all of the years that you have been in the industry as a whole, from humble beginnings to now being recognized for your talents as is, what would you say is some advice you'd want to instill in the next generation of talents?
Some advice. Well, as far as like advice for people who are trying to really get hit the ground running, really start moving in a direction for voiceover work, I'm just really gonna say, this is gonna sound like really, I don't know how this is gonna come off as, but it's I'm saying this as someone who did not do this when they first started off, and that's really, really, really do your research. And I mean really do your research. Ask people, do like searching on like online. If you can get in contact with people who are do it, do so naturally. Don't 9 times out of 10 just DMing voice actors and just asking them stuff doesn't really work. It's not the best move in the world. They're not going to take too lightly to it. But yeah, with voiceover, there's a lot of. I've seen so many people hop into voiceover, right? And they're like, "Yeah, I got a mic. I'm ready to do this, man." And then they're like, "Holy crap! There is a lot more to this than I thought. A lot more energy that he's into. A lot of money that you have to spend for gear, classes, stuff like that. Travel potentially if you have to go to a studio or something like that. Or heck, we don't have to do so as much now due to the pandemic, but maybe even flying out to other cities to go record. And people aren't usually expecting that. So because they didn't do research on what all it entails, they burn themselves out. Or they will do research on like these things, but they may not do research on like certain equipment that they're buying. Not all microphone types kind of fit for every single voice type the best. You have to really do your research on that one. You can get like general like heavy hitters, but like stuff like that. Classes. There's a lot of phonies out there who are having voiceover classes and workshops who may not be the most qualified to be be teaching these classes. A lot of people who produce demos that may not produce the best demo. And no demo is better than a bad demo. So because research isn't being done, you're kind of you're hitting all the speed bumps, and it only messes your game up worse in the long run. So yeah, that if I had to give any type of advice, it's just do your research, know what you're getting into. Voiceover is a very tricky industry. It's a tricky field to maneuver in. So make sure you know what you're doing. Make those connections authentically, organically. With other people. You're good because if you're pursuing voiceover, you're gonna meet people. You're gonna meet other people who are also pursuing voiceover. At some point, you're going to be in the presence of people who are veterans. So you don't just move about organically, respectfully, and do that, and hopefully it'll be smooth for you. Just do that research, take those classes, make sure you know what equipment you're getting, what it does, and make sure you know how much work you're going to put into. That's all. That's the only advice I can advise.
And frankly, that's some advice I wish people gave more rather than just, okay, I've been in a couple of Minecraft role plays. I think I know how to work the industry.
Man, I had someone literally say something like that to me on social media a while back. He was like, man, I think I'm getting the hang of this whole voiceover scene. I done like two, maybe even three like Lego stop motion things on YouTube, and it's just like, oh, I don't think that entails the entirety of the voiceover scene. But he literally was not listening to me when I was trying to tell him stuff, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? You know more than me, so I'll just let you do your thing. It's like, can't be helped. You cannot be helped at this point.
Oh, okay, young blood. All right, but that's not how it. No. Trust me. I've been around the block.
That is
literally around the block.
That is literally around the block. The Minecraft blocks. Yes, that's exactly. This is exactly how the conversation went with the individual. It was almost verbatim. And at that point, you're just like, you got it, bro. You got it, bro. You got it, pimpin'. You got it.
All right, I'm gonna take my hands off. You do you. All right.
Man, you think go crazy? Go crazy.
Oh my god. All these young cats, man, but I digress. That is all of the questions that Anonymous had typed up here. But honestly, D, I really appreciate having you on the show because I wanted you on it earlier, but one, we are very, very bad at trying to get to circumnavigate to try and talk to you, and two, whenever I talk to Yenny about you, she just like, Devante is a really cool guy. You would love to hang out with him. And I'm like, oh, now I'm nervous.
I don't know why, man.
Like, the way people bring up people that I'd get along with, it's like, okay, I will probably love to hang out with them and want to be their best friend. However, because I know I would probably get along with them well, now I'm going to psych myself out to sound like I'm stupid.
Nah, man, you've been chill, man. You've been a cool dude. I enjoy being here. I'm glad we were able to finally get some time to like really get it on popping, man. I had fun.
Oh, I did too. And for anyone watching this on YouTube, where there's going to be a lot more episodes here than on Spotify, yeah, I know, guys. I know. Two things that are wrong here. Two is that master copies went missing. We have a lot of technical problems that happen with trying to save over stuff and then get stuff overrunning. And then number one is that, frankly, trying to make the master copies save up everywhere can be exhausting. Your boy's got a lot to do. He's got to run a business. He's got to be a family man. He's got to have a healthy relationship. He has to have a good work relationship. He has to have a sleep schedule. Do y'all want to have master copies? Do y'all want to have my busy schedule? Do y'all want to be me for a day? No? Okay. That's just calm down.
Juggling a lot.
But I digress. When this episode hits on Spotify, if y'all want to all of a sudden see all this stuff that Anonymous and my new editor Diamond are going to be doing to make this extra litty in their opinions, you guys can of course go to our YouTube page And other than that, just keep an eye out for all the other stuff that we do. But most surely, keep an eye out for the next stuff Devante is doing, because he's always in the industry doing something. He's always out and popping. He's out here making a lot of moves, and I don't want y'all to be sleeping on him the way that y'all slept on Xeno. The first moment y'all heard him on Ben 10 Alien Force, no one believed in him. Now he's everywhere, and everyone wants to be like, I've been with him since day one, when you fucking weren't.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, he's unstoppable right now, man. He's always been amazing.
I just had to put it on for Xeno, boy. Earn his place at the table.
That's the respect it.
But yeah, make sure you guys check out Devante on everything that he's done in television, in video games, in stuff on different streaming platforms. Make sure you not only support him on that sort of stuff, but if you ever want to just do some, I might just at some point do this where I'm going to make an entire GoFundMe to where every VA is going to have like $1,000 per month for just like a starter pay, so they don't have to worry about if they lost out on roles. At least to get $1,000 a piece. We gonna get that shit popping sometime next year, where we're gonna keep it regulated every year to where $1,000 goes out to every VA across the world. We gonna get that shit popping. But other than that, you guys already automatically know for Radarscope Studios, we're always doing something on Twitch at least 4 to 5 days a week on twitch.tv/Radarscope Studios, where we're riffing / commentating on movies and TV shows, doing gameplay stuff, doing behind-the-scenes stuff on some shows that we're editing, and we're in the midst of making our very first movie, where, once again, we're going to be having a cornucopia of different VAs for the first film, since not only are we going to be doing a GoFundMe page on it, but we're going to be getting so many different guest stars and so many other different elements that I'm going to be too exhausted to focus on the one Spotify exclusive that I want Devante to be one of the key figures for, because that's also going to be a GoFundMe, which means that we going to just be overworking. I'm gonna be overclocked. I'm going faster than the Flash now, boy. God, that made me winded. So, for everyone out there, whether y'all are part of the Selkie Squad or y'all just regular viewers out there, I appreciate you guys watching this episode of Cove Club, where I've been SB and my guest has been the ever so lovely and ever so amazing. That's your QD.
That's me, Devante Johnson. I'm sorry, man. I dropped the ball. I dropped it.
It's all right. It's all right. We just in the middle of just trying to get that last 2-point shot. It's all good. It's still dribbling.
God.
And we'll see you guys in our collective ventures another time. Have a good one, everyone.
Be easy.